again. But it's the only way.
Good evening, everyone. It's Monday, and welcome to NUFC Matters Fans Forum. And I've got a new face joining us tonight on the show due to Chris being unwell. It's Holly again for a back-to-back. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Trying not to think too much about that Cambridge result, but yeah, I am good. Pete, how are you doing?
Not too bad. You've got in there before I even got to mention it, because I was going to say, have you after yesterday, have you actually recovered yet from the fact that we're out the cup to League One Cambridge?
Yeah, I have done. You know, last night's show, I was expecting it to be quite dull and quite miserable, but it was actually quite upbeat. I think we've just got to take it on the chin. One of those things, I seem to be in the minority with expecting the result that was coming, getting beat by Cambridge. But ultimately now, I just think we've got to focus on the league and prioritise and staying up.
Yeah, I have to agree. From my perspective, look, I've had 14 years of being expecting to lose matches like that as well. So the one thing I did as soon as the final whistle went, I just turned it off, and I kind of stayed away from social media for the majority of that evening, just because I just didn't want to think about it. Otherwise, I'd wound myself up. Right now, I'm absolutely fine, because the bigger picture for me is us staying in the Premier League. And, you know, if we do that and we go to Watford and we win on Saturday, nothing else matters. Everything will be forgotten about the Cambridge game. But good to hear your thoughts, and I'm sure we'll hear plenty more of your thoughts as the show goes on. But this is the Fans Forum, and we want to hear from the fans. So there's no better place to start than one of our favourites and a John Stones enthusiast. It's Jeff Carter. I knew that I'd get you laughing.
Evening.
You got in there first. Yeah. We need a new core. We need a new foundation at the back, really, as it were. Yeah. A new rock at the back, perhaps. I was a bit shocked because, strangely enough, my mother rang me from hospital just after we scored, and and it took me a while to realise that we hadn't scored. I often listen without the sound on, and just like you, at the end of the game, right, I'm going away, forget about it. You know, it happens. We had 60% possession. 23 shots on, shots. We were mostly in their half. Shelby was playing in their half. It was a very different type of shambles than we're used to, right? It's still a shambles because it's the same players. And so Maximum, bless him, can't play with his back to goal. Not really, because he off goes in a little loop, right? When he gets the ball, he's off on a little loop, and we've lost it by then. We need to attack quickly. And I thought Murphy did all right, actually, as a sort of makeshift striker. But again, it's not his job. It's not the way he's trained. And what we need is not forwards. We need strikers. And we should have at least 4 players who can play with their back to goal, right? In some form or other. Right, a big guy and a little guy, or 2 big guys, that sort of thing. We just haven't got it. And apart from the mysterious Gale, and I think that's another issue which we have to address, is a lot of what goes on in the club is medical, and we're not really entitled to know what it is. And I think we should just trust the management now. If he's not playing Gale, he's not playing Gale for some serious reason. And just leave it, just accept it. Apart from that, I'm not sure what to think about transfers. Every day, new things in the mix. It's clickbait, basically, until I see them in a shirt turned round, Oh, one final point about that. Guess who's got a number 15 shirt?
Yeah. I like it. But old school as well.
Yeah. Well, it was a nice tribute of him to choose 15, I thought. What else is there to say? I see even Chris Wood's come up today. I don't know what to make of that.
Well, Jeff, I'll ask you the question because before I get on to some of your other points, because you made some really good points, I want to get Holly's opinion on those points as well. But I just want to ask you the question. You know, we've talked about transfers. Do you think we will get the striker and the centre back we need? Bearing in mind it's Monday evening and there's still no concrete, firm, links. I know we've been linked with the young French lad Hugo, who is a real potential. I have to say, as a striker, he is a real potential if we get that done. But do you think we'll have a striker and a centre back in by the time that 3:00 kicks off against Watford at the weekend?
No, I wouldn't expect so. And if we did, the idea we could throw him on the field and expect him to play is also a bit naive, I think. I also don't expect to read about our transfer business in the Chronicle or what have you.
Right.
I'd rather hope that as a professional club, and we've got some proper people doing this business now. There's a guy who came in from Celtic. Who's it called? Henderson? Forgot what he's called now. But anyway, the guy came in from Celtic to do our transfer business. No, I don't expect it. It's a bit short notice, really, isn't it? I mean, it was quite a surprise that Trippier paid.
Yeah, I think you've made some good points there, Holly. From some of the points that Jeff's made, what do you think? I mean, first and foremost, he's talked about the likes of Dwight Gale. I mean, where was he? You would have thought if Dwight Gale was ever going to play, it was going to be on Saturday, and he was nowhere to be seen. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a bit of a mystery with Dwight Gale, isn't it? I would have expected him to see at least in the side, on the bench even. You'd expect him to be in that team. The only thing I can think of is perhaps he's one of the players affected by COVID, and obviously the club don't want to release that information. And I'm hoping that's the case in some ways, because I would love to see Dwight Gale play a part this season. I think with the injury to Callum Wilson, he's the only real striker that we have. He can make a difference if he gets in a good run of form. Never really been given that chance. But if Eddie Howe doesn't like him, Steve Bruce wasn't his biggest fan, then I think at the end of this season, he really has to go. I'd be quite happy to let him go this window, but I don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, it is a very weird situation with Dwight Gale. Jacob Murphy being a makeshift striker, I mentioned that. I think he did quite well, quite harsh to take him off, I felt. But yeah, I think that Jacob Murphy did do well in that position. This is the issue at Newcastle, though. We're playing a lot of players out of their positions.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of going to be the opposite to yourself and Jeff, Holly. I actually didn't think Jacob Murphy played that well. I thought he had a really poor game, and I think the fact that he got pulled off, I think, speaks volumes. Because a lot of people, and I saw on social media during the game, a lot of people were really surprised that he got taken off. I just think he just wasn't playing his role properly. The fact that he got moved around the pitch says to me that he wasn't doing his role properly. And you could see players getting visibly frustrated with him on the pitch. Shelby was one of them. He kept going mad at him time and time again. And I just you see Jacob Murphy make steps forward, and then I just see him at times making 2 or 3 steps back, and I just don't see how he's going to have a future in this club, particularly with us being the richest club in the world, with us got the ambitions of being the best of the best eventually. I just can't see how he's going to fit in at this club. But Jess made some points about the transfers. I'll ask you the question as well. Do you believe that we're going to have a striker, a new striker, should I say, and a centre back in by the time that you're sitting in the or standing in the Gallagate on Saturday afternoon?
I think it's absolutely vital that we do. I think if we don't, then there's no way we're getting a win out of that game, and we need a win to stay up. I think if we get beat or even draw against Watford, that's a massive worry, and you're starting to think relegation is a massive possibility now. Do I think it will happen? My gut instinct says no. I think we will manage to bring a striker and a good centre-back in by the end of the window, but before Watford, I think that's too soon.
I have to agree. I have to agree with you. Jeff?
I was going to say, you're we really need proper strikers who can. I mean, Shearer used to say it was a very simple game. You get the ball, you bring it down, knock it out wide, and head off towards the penalty area, right? And that was his job done. And we don't have people who can do that, right? So that takes away a whole way of playing that we can't do. And unless you can attack quickly and get the ball in the box quickly, how good do you have to be to deliver a ball? We've got 4 players in the box a lot of the time now, which is nice. But they've got 8 in the box already. So it's quite crowded in there. And the chance of getting a quality ball where you need it with the players that we have, I don't think it's realistic. So, yeah, we do desperately need 2 strikers, at least 2 strikers, because we can't rely on Callum Wilson because of his injury record. And Dwight Gale has clearly got some issues that we're not aware of and everyone else is. So, I think we need 2, and soon.
No, I would agree. Now, Yano, hope you're well, Yano. He's put Gale's got COVID, which, you know, if that's the case, then that's fair enough. Could well be the same for Lascelles because he was also missing at the weekend. But I think you're right. We do need 2 strikers. It was said again today, I think, on Sky that that we are looking to get 2 strikers, one young and a potential experienced striker. So it remains to be seen whether that's going to be the case. I've got an issue with the media at the moment. I can't trust them. I really within this transfer window. We're 10 days in, and you know we've been linked with every name under the sun. I don't know whether to believe it or not. It's a really difficult situation, but we can only go off what we hear really. So, and we can only kind of go off our own opinions. But I think both of you are absolutely right. We need new players in those positions up front. We cannot go into Watford with Alan St-Maximin up front again. We had him up front in the away fixture, and that didn't work. It didn't work on Saturday, against the League One Cambridge. Who's to say it's going to work against Watford in what is a massive game for us? So it's a really difficult one. But again, you made some really good points, Jeff. Absolute pleasure to have you on. Do you want anything else you want to say before you?
Yeah, I'm still offering free talks to the food bank on archaeology on Hadrian and the Geordie Wall. I can do that one. Okay. And if anyone's out there, I'll come along and talk for free, and you can get people to pay to get out. Right.
Okay. Well, fantastic. Any support for the food bank, I'm sure, is greatly received. So I'm glad
that's all I've got.
Out there. Well, I'm sure that's more than enough. But great to hear your views and obviously
thank you for the opportunity.
No problem, Jeff. Always a pleasure. Never ever a chore. You take care of yourself, and you've got to get one of these before you leave us. Top man, Jeff. Speak to you soon, mate. See you later. Jeff, as always, on the button, made some really good points about our current situation, and it is a difficult situation. Holly, what have you made of this transfer window? We're 10 days in. What have you made of it all so far, with all the players linked, with everything that's going on, with potential transfers? We've only got one player in so far in Kieran Trippier. What have you made of it all so far?
I think it was one of the most built-up transfer windows, arguably, in the club's history. A lot of people had high expectations. I was trying to keep them at a minimum. We didn't really know which direction it was going to go into. Of course, we knew under Mike Ashley the type of recruitment we'd be bringing in. This year, we didn't really know. We knew we'd have to bring in people not only of a kind of good status, Premier League proven, but also people that could come in and hit the ground running. And our relegation battle does massively depend on this window, unfortunately. I think 10 days in, I'm not too disappointed, to be honest. We used to wait till kind of deadline day most of the time to do our business. Very happy with Kieran Trippier. I thought he played well against Cambridge. Great signing, very solid in the defence. He was very good off the ball as well as on the ball. However, it isn't good enough yet. We need a lot more players coming through the door. Even loan deals, I'd be happy to see. Time is ticking on. Haven't really got any concrete deals put on the table yet. And I'm hoping that certainly within the next 2 to 3 days, we have at least a striker confirmed, a bid put down, because otherwise I am going to start to worry a little bit.
Again, a really good point. Myself and Chris were talking over the weekend, and the one thing I said to Chris, and in fact he's on the chat, I've just seen him, I'll put it on in a second. One thing I said to Chris is that if we don't have confirmed bids in by Monday, Monday evening, I'll be really concerned, and I'm starting to get concerned. Obviously, the young French lad Hugo, I don't want to pronounce his surname because I don't want to get it wrong, but he is billed as a very, very good talent, only 19 years old, and there are tentative views that there is a bid in, but the reason why I say that is because they need to fly over to Tyneside. They need to have a medical. They need to be confirmed. They need to have trained with the team before Saturday comes around. We can't afford to do another Kieran Trippier and have him signed and sealed on Friday morning with only one training session before the game. It's not enough. These players need time to fit into the setup, to know what Eddie Howe wants from his players, and be able to settle in to playing with these players before they get thrown into a massive game on Saturday. We need these deals done. And you know, speaking of the deals, we'll come back to the deals because I've got a couple of questions for you as the show goes on, Holly. But you know, there's lots of people in the chat got lots and lots of different questions, and I will come to them as the show goes on. But obviously, Chris has put, "Good evening, Pete, Holly, and chatters. Gutted I can't make tonight, but great to see and hear the thoughts of Warhol. Love to you all. Hope you're feeling better, Chris. Hope you're back on your feet and back on the screen soon. I'm sure the Avon lovers are missing you as well. But I have to say, just on the point of Chris, massive shout out to Rich Story as well, one of the Loaded boys, because he was involved in a car accident today. He's okay, but yeah, just want to pass on my best wishes to him. Hopefully his injuries are not too severe. So I just wanted to put that point out just before we move on. But as always, guests in the green room, and we've got another regular who makes some fantastic points. Looking forward to hearing what he's got to say tonight. Let's welcome in Alan. How you doing, Alan?
Hiya, guys. Hiya, Holly. You all right? Well, I think Saturday was a slap in the face for confidence-wise, guys. I've always been more positive than negative, but I have to say I'm turning to Holly in a little way. I'm 50-50 now to get out of the mess, Pete. I must admit it done more damage confidence-wise, the actual result, than the performance. I think it's where I'm probably too young, Holly, for yourself, but this is what Portsmouth's moment for me, Pete. 30 years ago, David Kelly scored one of the most important goals in our history. If he hadn't won that game against Portsmouth, we would have been relegated in Division 3 in the early 90s. And I do believe the Watford game is that moment, even though we've still got a lot of games to play. I do believe the Watford game is this moment where if we get beat, I think it's very, very hard to see we're getting out of it. One win in 22 if we get beat, 5 points and a game in hand Watford will have. At the bottom of the league, guys, that's a massive gap to bridge, and the confidence-wise. So I will be deflated. I'm already worried about the game on Saturday. I must admit, I really am. I'll be so nervous it's untrue. Saturday was basically, I was expecting a win, Holly, I must admit. I really did think we'd win that game. And that's what disappointed us the most. I was sickened because of the draw afterwards, Cambridge getting Luton in the next round. I thought, you know, that's a great chance of getting forward in the cup. And it would have done the team. I was a bit saddened that Elliot Anderson and some of the younger players didn't get on the pitch, actually. I think it was a great chance for them to introduce them into the fray to see if they're good enough, more than anything. But signings-wise, lads, I think it's very hard to get signings in the January window. I think a lot of people are saying, why aren't they done? And, why haven't they been faster? I've actually been very happy with the business so far. It's very difficult, and you've got to imagine if you want quality players, are they going to come to Newcastle in a relegation battle halfway through the season? Not many clubs will let their best players go, guys. So that's where, the black and white says, like they don't know what they're doing, or they're hinting that it's very, very hard to prize best, really good players out of their clubs. I would say it's a bit worrying what Eddie Howe did say, mind, that in the second half the players did lose a bit of confidence. Now, if I was the Watford manager, I'd pray on that on Saturday, going forward to the Saturday's game. I'd say keep the crowd quiet 30 minutes and then start to attack in the second half, and we'll win this game. I'd have Joel in the centre forward. I know it didn't work, but he could be the focal point on Saturday, lads. If we don't get a striker in on Saturday, I really do think he'll have to be. We'll need somebody as a focal point. I am getting a bit disappointed with Amron now and Joe Willock, especially Joe Willock, unfortunately. But he's still young, still time. But I don't know, his performances have dropped off a cliff this season. Whether it's due to injury, I don't know.
Do you think he can get that back, Alan? Do you think he can get that spark back? Because, he is. I mean, the one thing that stuck out for me, I don't know if Holly, I imagine Holly, you saw this, because it was at the Gallagher end when he had that shot from outside the area that, in the end, it wouldn't have gone in if there were two goals stacked upon each other. It was that bad. I mean, can he really rediscover it? Is not necessarily the same form he had at the end of the season, but certainly having a little bit of a lethal touch on the end, kind of getting on the end of things in the box. What do you think, Alan?
Well, it's up there a large amount of time. It's all about confidence, lads. And that's it really is. It's really about whether he wants to be here. My biggest worry, Holly, Pete, all the time since the takeover is, are the players good enough? And if you're in a job and you know that you're going to be out of that job in 6 months, are you really going to try? Even if they're on 30, 40,000, Holly, Pete, if they try their best and in 6 months, say in the summer, sorry, you're gone, are you really going to try? And that's always been my worry about the players that we've got. Have they got the quality, first of all? And are they really going to give their all to the end of the season, knowing that they're not going to be at the club? I said on the show last night, Holly, I thought 99% of the players that we've got now should be binned now, to be fair. It's no surprise Sean Longstaff had a shocker on Saturday because he was linked with Everton. And it's got to prey on your mind, in my opinion, when you're linked with players where the club are offering them an part exchange deal with the Everton left back, basically. It's got to prey on your mind, and he did have a poor game, like majority of them did, to be fair. I am gutted about the cup, lads. I make no mistake about it. I really am. It's another sad chapter in my history, really, and it's later on that you feel the effects later on, that you realise that you've been beaten by a first division club. It's not right. It's not right. Go on, sorry. Carry on. So really, I am down on the dumps at the minute. I'll pick myself up for Friday and hopefully we'll win on Saturday. But I do believe Saturday is, like the crunch game of the season so far for me. Really is. It's a massive, because it just reminds me of Fulham last year, guys. They could not get out the bottom three. This is a great opportunity for us to get out the bottom three. I know Burnley could still be out the bottom three. They beat Leicester, they would be out above us on goal difference. But I think we've got to beat Watford. Really have to. And I think the pressure is all on us. And do we handle pressure well? So far this season, we haven't. We haven't handled it very well at all. So when we do need two strikers, like people have been saying, because Wilson is injury prone. But whether Chris Chris Wood's the answer for short term for a couple of years. Who's to say? And I totally agree with you, Pete. I just don't take any notice, Pete Holly, about the transfer window because we've been linked with 500 players every day, and you'd just go absolutely mad if you believed every link that was linked with her. But I do believe in the owners. I think you've got to give them time. It's a long-term thing. This I've never thought a month would be, everything would change in a month by getting 3 or 4 players in. It's a long-term venture, this. And I'm quite happy where things are going, actually. It's just, unfortunately, where one of the people in the chat says, I think it was Black and White again, about the Man City takeover. Man City were mid-table when they got took over. They didn't have the pressure of relegation. Now, if we won mid-table, Pete Holly, would we have the urgency to buy players the way when we desperately need them now? And everybody's got to remember out in the chat that every club in Britain and in Europe know we're desperate for players. So the price is going to go up. They're going to. I mean, I heard one link. Well, that's true that the Everton fullback was wanting £200,000 a week. Now, do you really seriously want to pay £200,000 a week for a player that's 28 going on 29? I'm sorry, I don't think no matter how much money you've got in the world, you ain't going to pay. You ain't going to get ripped off, and the owners aren't going to get ripped off. They're business people, first and foremost. And yes, they will buy quality, but they will not get taken to the cleaners either. I'm sure of that.
Well, I want to get Holly's thoughts on some of the points that you've made, because I think you've made some good points there. But Holly, before you react to the rest of the points that Alan's made, Luca Dean, which I think is the player that Alan's referring to, that was wanting £200,000 a week in order to sign for another club. Do you want that sort of player that's demanding that sort of money coming and playing for Newcastle, knowing that we've got a lot of money to play around with? Was he a type of player that you wanted at Newcastle?
I don't think Dean will be coming to Newcastle personally. It seems like he's going to Aston Villa. That certainly seems to be the noise on social media. Would I have took him initially? Yeah, I think he is a good player. You can't deny that. But ultimately, if you've got someone demanding those type of wages from the offset, then you probably would be looking to kind of look elsewhere. Someone that doesn't have those high demands. I don't know how much Trippier's on. I don't know if anyone knows, but I'd imagine his wages are quite high as well. I think we are going to have to pay big money, unfortunately, if we want to get people in, because there's nothing else attracting players to Newcastle at the moment.
Mm-hmm. I think from what I read, Trippier's not on as high wages as we think. I think he's around the 100. Between 100 and 120,000. That's what I've read. I don't know that as gospel, but that's certainly not what's been sort of bandied about when he was about to sign. There was talks of 150 or north of 150,000 pound a week. So it is a little bit less than what we thought. And I think some of the top earners at Newcastle, including Callum Wilson, are around the £100,000 mark. So it's not like he's astronomically further away than everybody else, but £200,000 is a lot of money for a player coming in who's not playing for his club currently. And you're right, at this point in time, he is in a situation where he's sitting on the bench at Everton, and he hasn't really got the right to demand that sort of money to move to Aston Villa. And it kind of gives me the feeling that that's his motivation right now. That he can't get in Everton, so he's just going to demand a load of money at 28 years old and get a big contract to move there. And I think what's interesting is Mike Gent here, he's put on here, Sky Sports are saying Villa's interest in Luca Dean is a problem on transfer fees and salaries. So it seems like even Aston Villa are struggling to make that deal happen. And I think that tells you the motivation of the player more than anything. And I think, yourself, Alan, and Holly have made a good point. We don't want those type of players playing for Newcastle. We've had those players before. those mercenaries that have come in and literally like, milked his drive or any sort of cash that we've had, and then just walked away. And you know, although we've got the money to finance that, of course, we don't want. We're not about that anymore. But we're looking to go in a different direction. But Holly, some of the other points that Alan's made. What were your thoughts on Alan's points?
He made some really good points. I mean, firstly, I was quite concerned with the fact that he said, I'm starting to come around to Holly's way of thinking, because the fan base can only take one of me with my negativity. We don't need any more of that. Please don't come around to my way of thinking, I beg. But I can totally understand.
50-50, Holly. 50-50.
Try and stay on the positive side, trust us. It's not fun.
No.
I wish I could get on the positive side, but it's not happening anytime.
I think if we win on Saturday, Holly, I'll be back to 60-40, because we've got to get everybody in the chat and everybody out there. We've got to get out the bottom three. If we stay in the bottom three psychologically on Saturday, and the pressure will be enormous on Saturday for the players. They know that, we know that. Fans will be nervous. And if they can handle the pressure of Saturday and win, I couldn't care if it's off Joe Linton's backside and we win 1-0. That'll do me. I mean, I heard reports today that we didn't play too badly against Cambridge, but it doesn't matter. If we played brilliantly and got beat 1-0, we're still out the cup. I'd rather play rubbish for the rest of the season, lads, but stay up and get wins to stay up. And on Saturday, in my eyes, it's what Waterloo, lads, guys, it really is. I really do think, because we've got Leeds away, and that's going to be tough. And especially if we get beat, it'll be really tough against Leeds away. But if we win, we'll go there with confidence. And by that time, we might be able to get a striker in. We definitely need 2 strikers in, to be honest. But having them in for Saturday in a centre-half, I do believe, like you said before with Jeff, I think it's unrealistic, really, to be fair. I mean, that Botman's been linked with her for the last week for 35 million. He's been linked. There's been another lad, if I remember rightly, Gallios, if I'm pronouncing it right. He's been linked with her. But then again, until they're actually on the pitch, lads with a black and white top on, I won't believe anything, to be fair. Yeah. But no, I wondered what you thought about us thinking about Joe Linton being my centre forward on Saturday, guys. I think that's our only option. I mean, Howe did say that Gayle had COVID, because I was screaming after the game, why isn't Gayle not playing? Because I was thinking he may as well be on our sofa watching the TV if he's not prepared to play Gayle in a game like that. But then he said, Howard did say on Saturday night that he had COVID, so that explains why he didn't play on Saturday.
Well, Holly, I'll let you take that one. Joe Linton, should he have played as a forward, a centre forward on Saturday?
Oh, 100% Joe Linton should have played as a forward on Saturday. Hindsight's a beautiful thing. We've seen ESM up top before. It's never really worked. He does struggle in front of goal. He's too selfish with the ball. Tries to take on 5 defenders, and he clearly isn't going to beat 5 defenders, unfortunately. But Joe Linton's the far better option. He's not a natural in front of goal. We know he doesn't have a goal scoring record. However, he can hold the ball up. He's good in the air. He usually wins 50-50 challenges, and I'd feel a lot more confident with him up top. Against Cambridge, it would have been the perfect choice. He has got a record of scoring against Rochdale, lower league opposition. It will be more difficult against Watford, but I'd far rather him than Alan St. Maximin, because, to be honest, I just think ESM's a liability right now.
Now, I was going to get your views on ASM. So, look, Holly's made her points very clear. Alan, what are your thoughts on ASM?
I know he has been slated, and it's true, Holly. You know, he holds onto the ball and he goes across the field a lot too much, and he doesn't release it as much. But after all said and done, guys, he did create chances for Murphy, especially on Saturday. It's just that he's got to learn how to release the ball quicker and bring other players into play quicker. And that's my main downfall. I mean, I didn't like it when half the players just trips off the pitch at the end, lads. We've all got to be in it together. That was a talking point on social media, especially after the game. We've all got to be in it together, guys, you know, and clap the fans, because, you know, it was shambolic in the sense of the result. And, you know, nobody likes getting beat, and especially of a third division team, because that's what they are, third division team. But you've got to applaud the fans off, and you've got to be all in it together. ACM, he is going through difficult period, and he is a maverick, and you expect that of that. We had it with Ginola, we had it with Robert in the past. I do think he's, you know, again, going forward in the future, Wolves have got the same problem with Traore, Pete. You know, he's been linked to Tottenham, and like I said on the Tottenham podcast to the Tottenham fans when they were linked with him, and still are, you know, it's very similar to ACM, very similar. But actually, I do think ACM is better. But this is what you have with players like that. I think he's a great impact player, actually, Pete, going forward. If we had a better squad, if we had better players all round, he would be a great person to come on with 30 minutes, 25 minutes to go, and he wouldn't be a regular. But as it stands now, he is one of our star men, unfortunately. And like I say, until you know, I'm in the camp where you can't criticise Eddie Howe too much, as though a lot of fans are starting to, you know, have a little bit go at him. Until Eddie Howe, in my opinion, gets 7, 8, 9 players of his own, and they're still playing like this, then really you can't really go mad at him, because, you know, these are the players that have failed with all the way along under Bruce as well. And they've just come to the end of their life, Holly, Pete, they really have. Some of them have served with really well for 4 or 5 years, but now they're aged. The whole squad's aged. And to me, it's down to 14 years, man. Mismanagement. If Ashley, again, we come back to Ashley and Bruce or whoever, it's Benitez got the best out of the squad for 2 years, and then Bruce, unfortunately, carried it on. But the all aged Clark. I mean, there was one thing on the show last night, Holly, you know, Steve put it out, which 4 players would you have gone? Well, I would have 10 straight away, never mind 4. To be honest with you, I couldn't pick and choose which one I would want out first. And that's how desperate we are. So we've all got to keep the faith, and I think I'll be far more upbeat on Monday, Holly, and I'll be back to 70-30 positive if we beat Watford on Monday next week. But I'll let you go, guys, and thanks for having us on. I've been rabbiting on too much, but
not at all.
Stop crying now, Pete, over Saturday. I always want to win.
Look, the one thing I'll say to Alan is Saturday is another game, and there's no reason why we cannot go out and put a performance in. I expect to see a better performance. I expect those boys to be absolutely bang up for it come Saturday. And look, as I said before, previously, if we go out and put a performance in on Saturday and take the 3 points, no matter how we get them, like you said, even if it comes off Joe Linton's backside, if we get those 3 points, nobody will care. And nobody will care about the Cambridge game, and everybody, like you've just said, and you've made a good point, looking forward to then Leeds, everyone's in a better frame of mind.
Let's face it, Holly Pete, Watford are 4th bottom for a reason, just like we are. They're no bit better. They've only got 13 points, so they're no great shakes. So that's how you've got to look at it. They're no better than us in one way, really. And some of the games I've seen in the defence is just as bad as ours. So we've got to have confidence, and that's me worry, Pete. The pressure, the part of it, because we're the home team, and Holly mentioned it on Sunday. It's the pressure that worries me. We've got to really, really get a control on that. I'm going off the beat of football, but I've been an athlete all my life for 40 years, Pete. And when I was younger, a lot of lads who I ran with used to crack up on the pressure of the race because they just couldn't handle it. And this is a pressure situation on Saturday, and let's hope we can handle the pressure. Really do.
Well,
Fingers crossed, anyway.
That's just what I was about to say. Fingers crossed. Let's hope for a good performance, and let's hope for us picking up 3 points and looking at things a little bit more positively again after
Yeah.
a difficult few days. But Alan, as always, absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on and sharing your time with us. You definitely deserve one of these on the way out, mate. 100%.
Yeah. Cheers, lads. Cheers, Holly. Keep smiling, Holly.
I'll
Be
try.
positive for Monday. Cheers.
No
See you
worries.
again.
You take
Bye.
care. Mate. Take care, mate. Great to have Alan on. Well, like I say, always a realist and comes from a genuine perspective. And Jeff's agreed with that realism from Alan, and I agree 100%. But I've got a couple of questions to ask you, Holly, before we move on. But first of all, I cannot move forward without doing the sponsors. So we'll start with Spider VPN. For all your security, they are the boys to trust. If you want to protect your computer online, please go to Spider VPN. Just on your Google search, type in Spider VPN. They'll come at the top of your search, and they are the ones to go to. Skipsandbins.com. Telephone at 0800 2545 253. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy, contract free, and pay as you go waste collection. Sir Bobby will always be there to support you. L&G Family Funeral Directors. You can call them at 0191 389 7245. We have Garden of Healing Dispensary for CBD, hemp and cannabinoid specialist. Go to www.thegohd.com. We have Arcot Interiors. For all your interior needs, they are the ones to go to. Big shout out to Chris and the lads. Google Arcot Interiors for top class kitchens. As always, big shout out to John Justice Allen. For all your pool table and snooker table needs, go to qtechshop.co.uk. In Wallsend at Newcastle, they are the ones to go to. Also, Jab Signature. If you want to go to Jab Signature to check out all their latest gear, go to jabsignature.co.uk. Media Arts. For all your media needs, they are the ones to go to. Do not forget them when you're searching for all your media needs. And we have Newcastle Legends. So give the show a like tonight if you haven't already. Click the subscribe button, comment and share. Lots and lots of comments in the chat. As always, the regulars are in the house. Some fantastic comments and questions all throughout the show. Please keep them coming, but don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you don't get a chance to watch this live, we can always watch this back either on YouTube, but also iTunes and Spotify for your audio pleasures. And to be a member, we have the membership pack. So in order to be a member, scan on your phone now, which will take you to NUFC Matters, the membership pack, and you will be entered into the prize draw, which is on a monthly occasion. We also have the NUFCfoodbank.co.uk matchday bucket. So if you're not able to go over to the food bank in person and give your donations, you can always go to the matchday bucket there and support a fantastic cause. We've got the Dog and Parrot, always before match days, talkings with Supermac and Steve Rafe. So make sure you get there before all home match days. Lots of gear available, as you can see, from nufcmatters.com. So take a look. Always be something there of interest, and don't be afraid to purchase. And also, we've got the very famous Nick DeMarco t-shirt that is available for bidding. And I think we are about there. But of course, I cannot go without mentioning Loaded HQ. Loaded HQ, a podcast that I'm on. Really, really good. We are approaching 2,000 subscribers, so we're just under 40 away. We have a very interesting show tonight with the man, the myth, the legend, Sean Casey, if he shows, that is, at 8 o'clock tonight. So don't be afraid to tune in. And also, I'll be leading with the boys the Fully Loaded Transfer Show on Thursday night. So all the latest transfer news as it unfolds during the week, we will be there to discuss, along with Newcastle World's own Jordan Cronin. So don't be afraid to tune in for that. It should be a very good show as always. Right, Holly, I've got some questions for you. Okay. First and foremost, Sean Longstaff, what do we do with him? Okay, 6 months left on his contract, got interest from Everton. Do we take the plunge and offer him a new deal, or do we cash in over the January transfer window? What's your thoughts?
Depending on how much Everton offer us, I'd be inclined to let him go if we got a decent price for him. However, if it was a low bid and we didn't have anyone ready to bring in to replace Sean Longstaff, then I would like to give him a chance. I think Matty Longstaff's came back from his loan at Aberdeen. I think he could have a bright future under Eddie Howe. I think he'd suit his style of play. I'd love to see both Geordie brothers in the midfield. That's quite a dream, I know, and I know they haven't been up to scratch for the past few seasons. And ultimately, I think Matty does have a better chance than Sean. But if the price was right, I think we'd have to let him go. However, if not, I'd give him till the end of the season. I wouldn't give him a new deal, though.
Okay, interesting. I have to agree. I don't think we're going to get Sean Longstaff playing any better in a black and white shirt, unfortunately. I actually don't think, even if he goes to Everton under Rafa, that you will see any better performances, if I'm honest. I was expecting to see something in pre-season when we went to a few games, and he was dreadful. And although he's had one or two decent performances this season, it's not enough for me to see a first-team player that's going to take this club forward, and that's exactly what we need. The second question for you is Martin Dubravka. Our number one goalkeeper, and rightly so, because he's the best goalkeeper of the lot, but had a few mistakes recently, odd mistakes, one or two that have cost goals. What are your thoughts on him? Do you think we need to replace him in this window, or can you see him being here at the start of next season, regardless of whether we stay in the league or not?
Dubravka's my favourite player at Newcastle, and to see the recent decline in performance is breaking my heart a little bit, I'm going to be honest. I think that it's undeniable that Dubravka is our number one goalkeeper. Unfortunately, he had quite a severe injury, almost lost his leg, which has been publicised. He came back after that injury, and I still think he's done better than Carl Darlow, Mark Gillespie and Freddie Woodman. So that does kind of tell you what level he's at. He hasn't been up to the standard that we used to. I feel like we're quite spoiled with our goalkeeping talent at times. So when the mistakes are made, they do get noticed a lot more. Not helped by a shaky defence in front of them, of course. I do think, though, Martin Dubravka, he will turn his form around eventually. I think it's a case of fitness. I think he still is struggling a little bit. Certainly, he'll be here by the end of the season. I do think we need to strengthen regardless, because the keepers that we have on the bench and in the reserves aren't up to scratch, in my opinion. January, I think we've got other positions that should be prioritised ahead of a goalkeeper, but certainly in the summer, we need to bring someone in. But I think Dubravka's still got a future at the football club.
Okay, yeah. I do. I still think he's got a future at the club. I still think he'll be here for the next few years at least. Do I think he'll be here as number one? I don't know. I think it's been documented before, and I think Keith Patterson was quite right in what he said on the Fab Four shows, the Three Amigos shows in weeks gone by, and he's always maintained that, if we're going to push forward as a team, we need a strong spine, and it starts with the goalkeeper through to the centre back, centre midfield, and then a top striker. And Dubravka on his day, when he's regularly playing and he's on top form, he's probably in the top 5 goalkeepers in the Premier League when he's on his day. But at the moment, with this injury, I think is setting back a little bit. He might still get back to that ability, but I'm like you, Holly. I'm one of his biggest fans. He's a fantastic goalkeeper on his day. But when you get to sort of 32 years old, it doesn't matter whether you're a goalkeeper or a player, you have moments. We've seen it with Matt Ritchie. He had a really bad injury when Hamza Chowdhury injured him during the cup game, and he never really came back the same player. He had a lengthy time out. Martin Dubravka's had that twice now in 2 seasons, and it just seems like he's just dropping off slightly. Confidence coming to collect, saving. I mean, some of the goals he conceded against Leicester away, I thought were dreadful. It could have been avoided. Don't get me wrong, there was some poor defending, but there were some poor goals conceded as well. And I just worry that he's on a bit of a downward spiral. I hope not, and I hope he proves me wrong, but it's just a little concern that I've got just from what I've seen in recent weeks. But I still think he's got a place at the club. Even if he's second choice goalkeeper and comes in and plays games as he gets older, I think he's still definitely got a place in this squad moving forward. So it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, just wanted to get your thoughts on that, on what you thought about the situation. Last question from me: how many more signings do you think we'll get in the January transfer window?
I think 3. I think that's how many we'll get in. I think we'll probably get a striker, a defender, and a midfield player. I think that's what we'll get in. I don't really feel like 3 is enough. It might just be enough to get us to scrape by, but I think time is running out. It's proven very difficult. We knew this was going to be the case, of course. We're 19th in the league. It's not very appealing to come here. I'm questioning why we're not really looking at loans very much, because I feel like we're looking at people on a permanent transfer, and I just feel like that's not the way to go. The current situation we find ourselves in, the loan market's the perfect way to go, but unfortunately we don't seem to be going down that route, and I don't know why.
What I'll say on the loans is that loans tend to happen at the end of the window. And although we would like maybe one of those top loan players in now, I think what a lot of clubs do, including us, we do it sometimes as well, is that we wait right until the end of the window, make sure that we've got no serious injuries to the point where we've loaned a player out, but we actually need him. I think a lot of clubs are doing that now. So what you'll see is a massive, massive flurry. So I think what you're seeing at the moment with Newcastle, from my opinion, is that we're looking to get our main targets right now. We want to, because we've got the money to go out and pay for them. And then because we've got 4 loans to work with, I think what you'll find is that those loans will start being used towards the end of the window. I think we'll get 6 players altogether. So I think we'll get another 5. I think we'll really strengthen the team, and I think we're going to have to. I think with all the recent COVID issues, I think that may have brought that to the forefront with regards to our owners and their strategic plan, in that it's out of our hands that we might lose a player from game to game, and we need to ensure that if we lose a player, we need a solid replacement of significant quality to come in and replace them. So if Callum Wilson's injured, for example, we need a solid quality replacement to come in up front. The same as at the back in defence, in midfield as well. If we lose a Joe Linton, for example, we need someone that's got that same type of quality that can come in and do a job. Out on the wing, for example, if we lose St Maximin, although he's not been playing great at the moment, have we got someone to come in and replace him or even push him? Because that's what we need. We need players to come in to push these players like Wilson and St Maximin to say, your place is not guaranteed in this team. I'm coming for your place. So those players up their game. And I think one or two players in the squad at the moment are a little bit too comfortable, that know that they're going to play every week regardless. So their performances don't need to be top notch. So Alan St Maximin's not played well for me, other than the Man United game. I don't think he's played well since Eddie Howe came in, but yet has played every single game because there's nobody else. And players like that need to be pushed. They need to know that they're not guaranteed to get into the team. So, I do think we'll have a flurry towards the end. I think there'll be some surprising signings, but we just need to be patient and see it through. But it'll be an interesting few weeks. There's no doubt about it. Right, our final guest of the evening, and he's waited patiently to come on. But I know he'll have a lot to say, and it's Chris A. How you doing, Chris?
Good. How are you? How are you doing? How are you doing, Holly?
I'm good, Chris. How are you?
All right.
Talk to us, my man. What have you got to say?
Yeah. So I'm wondering. A while ago, from I don't know whether it was Sky or other sources, they were saying we were working on two strikers, one of a veteran kind, and one maybe of a younger one. So I'm wondering whether the younger one was this Hugo Ekitike from Rant.
You speak better than me.
And 8 years of French. That's what I can do. And I don't remember whether your brother Pete had well, that was one of the guys that your brother had mentioned. Yeah, maybe he's just too young. He just made his debut.
Not yet, but come Thursday on the transfer window or the transfer show, he's got a lot to say about this young man. Yeah, he's actually very excited about this potential deal that he could be coming to Newcastle. So look out for that one on Thursday, mate.
Yeah. So along your and Holly's lines about bringing in more loans, I'm wondering whether I don't know if I would. I don't think I would trust saving our season to a 19-year-old that's only played a couple months in Ligue 1, but possibly you could bring him in for the long term, and for the short term, just bite the bullet and pay Aubameyang. He's out of favor at Arsenal. We were linked before the transfer window to saying, well, maybe Newcastle will go for the out of favor players at the so-called Super League teams. And we were sort of poo-pooing that and saying, no, that's not what we want to do. We want to build the club for players that want to play. We'll put in a shift. Aaron Ramsey was another guy, but with him being out with COVID, that's kind of a waste. We would not be able to bring him in until later in the window, and who knows where we'll be then. So I'm thinking that we need to just bring in a veteran like Aubameyang, even if he's just on a 6-month loan, and we don't have any intention of signing him for the long term. It could be beneficial. I mean, the question of how he would adjust to a relegation fight, but maybe he'd be hungry and have something to prove, and want to go back to Arsenal and prove to them. Sort of in the Joe Linton mode, but not Joe Linton, but Willock mode in terms of we maybe think that his woes this season were partially because he thought that by performing well on loan at Newcastle that he would work his way into the Arsenal 11. So yeah, it's obviously Aubameyang is also out with COVID. and at the Africa Cup of Nations. So not immediately available, but I think his last group game is around the 15th, so we could potentially get him back in, next week, if we could agree terms, with Arsenal on a loan deal, which I think, at this point, I was wondering what Yasser Ormai and the chairman was thinking when he's come over 4 times and still hasn't seen a win, and then probably expected, I'll finally see a win here against Cambridge United.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking about back to our discussions in the Middle East with Mitch and Stu and Al Walid, in terms of, the Saudis aren't in this to just mess around. It's about it's about they want to save face, and if the richest football club in the world gets relegated this season, that'll be, never mind the future, that'll be a huge embarrassment for PIF and the new owner. So I think that despite what we've seen so far and kind of being slow off the mark, I think they just got to put everything into this window to really save our season. And if that means bringing in high wage guys for 6 months, whether that's Aubameyang, whether that's Ramsey, other guys, just for 6 months, I think they've got to do that, because what's 6 months of high wages versus losing 150 million pounds, of TV rights and everything, all the implications of going down to the championship, and then, probably having to ship out St. Maximin and all these other players that don't want to stick around for the championship. Willick. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to contribute here. I know you guys are kind of up against the clock, and so I don't want to rant on too long, but you guys covered a lot of good points. But I think the key is a combination of loans for out of favor players at sort of the Super League teams, and maybe bringing in this young striker from Reims.
Holly, what are your thoughts about that? I think Chris is right. I think we covered a number of his points as he was waiting, so I kind of feel bad for him. But he still made some good points, though. What do you think, Holly?
The young French striker, for me, probably I wouldn't go for him right now. I think he does look quite talented, someone that would be an exciting prospect for the future, but we don't need exciting prospects for the future right now. We need people that are going to help us stay in the Premier League, and an inexperienced young striker isn't that. We need someone who's got Premier League experience. I mentioned the other week someone like a Troy Deeney I'd quite like to see come into the club. Does feel quite unambitious, very bargain basement, Mike Ashley like signing. However, he's got experience in a relegation battle, bottom half of the Prem, Championship, and he can do a job. So I'd quite like to see someone like that. He did make some really, really good points about other things as well. I think certainly Joe Willock is a player that has disappointed a lot of people this season, it's fair to say. He did very well on loan, scored a lot of goals, and then came in and didn't hit the ground running. I think it could be a case of what Chris said. He maybe wanted to go and progress into the Arsenal first team. That didn't happen, but he did seem willing to come to Newcastle, and unfortunately things just aren't working out for him. It could be another Joe Linton situation where he has a poor season or a poor couple of seasons and then gets into form. He's still young. We have to give him the chance, but ultimately keep playing him week in, week out isn't doing anything for his confidence while he's on a bad run of form. So I think we need to drop him from the side.
That's more than a fair point. Like I say, I think sometimes we forget how young some of these players are, and some of them need a little bit more time to bed in. And some do generally take longer than others to bed in. You'll get some 18 or 19-year-olds hit the ground running, for example. Yeah. But then you'll get some players who take a long time. I look at that. The young French lad Elise from Crystal Palace, who I think is a proper talent, a real talented player. He scored again against Millwall for Crystal Palace in the FA Cup, and he's what, I think 19 years old. He's hit the ground running, at Crystal Palace. He's had a really good season. Tariq Mitchell, another one, left back. That he's hit the ground running, 19 years old, but they don't always do that, and sometimes they need a little bit of time and patience. It just, I think, fell on a season where we're struggling for patience because we're so desperate to stay in the league, because we know what will come with us staying in the league, and the fact that we're able to develop and build and create the club that we all want and we all wish for. So I think there's a little bit of impatience there, but it will come. I'm not worried about that.
You've got to remember as well, Pete, the fact that he was the only signing in the summer window, so all eyes were on him. There was so much pressure. There was no one else there to kind of look at, and unfortunately, he just hasn't stepped up to that mark. So I feel like a lot more attention's being put on him because he was that only signing.
Yeah. I would agree, and like I say, some kind of revel in that type of pressure. Some need a little bit more time, and you're right. It's for a young lad at 21 years old that's having to move permanently away from a club that he's been at since he was 7-8 years old is not easy, not easy at all. So I think it's a great point. But Chris, anything else before we send you off?
No, thank you. Thanks for having me on as always. Let's get that win on Saturday. Huge win and huge match. Another, like, one of probably our 10th 6-pointer of the season.
You're not wrong, and you know what? For the rest of the season, they're all going to be 10 pointers. There is no doubt about it. We need every point that we could get. But yeah, Chris, pleasure as always. Thank you for taking the time. I know you had to wait a little bit, but I do appreciate it.
No problem. Always a pleasure.
And no doubt I'll see you next week if available.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
Before you go, do you one of these on the way out?
No, I'll applaud you guys back. Thanks.
No problem. You take care, mate. Speak to you soon.
Okay. All right. Later.
Cheers for Chris. Always good to have Chris on. Always makes some good points. I always feel like his points are stolen before he comes on to the show. He always comes with some really good points, and I feel really bad because, like, we either talk about something or a guest is on before, and I just see in the chat, I was going to say that. And it just dwindles down. So I felt so bad for him. But you know what? Fair play for him for sticking around. But right, we're about there. Anything from you, Holly? Anything you want to say about, the build up to this week? 'Cause it's a big week for us.
It is a big week. I think this could be the make or break week. If we can't beat Watford, then I think we have to accept the undeniable fact that we probably are heading towards the Championship. What worries me is we seem to step up against the likes of Manchester United because there's not as much pressure. You're not expected to get anything. We struggle more against the teams in and around us in the league. I'm not confident. Are you confident, Pete?
What, that we'll stay in the league?
No, that we'll get a result against Watford.
I think we'll win. I think we'll win even without signings. I do. Yeah, I think we'll win. I've always been confident of his beating Watford, and I do think we'll win. I think we've got players that can hurt them. I'm even more confident. It seems really weird now, but I'm even more confident that we'll win after that performance on Saturday, because I think these boys know they're in a dogfight, and if I know Eddie Howe's credentials, like I feel like I know, that having watched him for the last number of years, he won't accept that, and he will demand double the amount of work rate in training this week in building these boys up to be ready for Saturday. There was no doubt about it. And we have to remember, Watford also got trounced by Leicester away 4-1. So they're not coming in with loads of confidence either. They've got Ismail Assar that's been sent off to African Cup of Nations. You got Emmanuel Dennis, who is available as far as I'm aware at the moment, but is not happy at not being allowed to be released to African Cup of Nations. You got subbed at half time at the Tottenham game. So things are not all rosy. And the one thing I'll say is that when we played Watford last time, Ben Foster was a big reason why they got a point in the end. He's not playing as far as I'm aware. I know he's had a little bit of a long-term injury, and their replacement keeper is not great. So as long as we're putting chances on target and we're testing that goalkeeper, I think we'll be okay. I think Watford will sit behind. It won't be an all-out action game. As I don't know if you watched the Watford Tottenham game, but Watford literally, as the home team, just sat behind the ball and just said break us down. So I think we'll have a lot of the ball, but it'll just be a case of we can break them down. I think if we get a striker in, and I believe we will. I don't know who he'll be. I don't think anyone can say who will be. I think we'll get a striker in between now and Saturday, and I think we'll be a different team. So I'm confident. I'm confident we'll win on Saturday, and I'm confident we'll stay in the league. I still am. This window's not over yet. Yeah, we've had a disappointing weekend result. We've had a disappointing day with regards to some transfers not necessarily going our way. Not the end of the world. And remember, in this January transfer window, at this moment in time, we only have 2 Premier League fixtures, and that's Watford and Leeds. It's not like we've got an array of Premier League fixtures that these players are going to be missing if we get them later on in the window. Yes, they're important games, but if we get those players in between now and Leeds, for example, it could massively improve us for Leeds, because I don't think Leeds are a great team either. And then we go into the February fixtures that we can also win. Everton, home and away. Southampton, replay game. Aston Villa, I think we've got another team in February. We want those players ready for them just as much as we need them for Watford and Leeds. So all to play for as far as I'm concerned. And we're the home team, and we need the fans to be as amazing as they've been at St James's Park all this season, and certainly since the takeover, to back the team, get behind them, just as we've done all the way through, and try and carry the players through to 3 points. So that's my position at the moment.
Yeah, I totally agree with the part about the fans. I think we need to get behind the team. Everyone needs to just cheer them on, because yes, the results might not be going our way. It is hard to support the team, but ultimately we're not going to get anywhere if everyone's turning on the players.
Yeah, I agree. And Holly, I think that's a great way to finish. Absolute pleasure for you coming and joining us last minute. I really appreciate you coming and joining the show. It's been great to chat to you and get some of your opinions, because I've not been on a show with you to ask you these questions for a while. So it's been great to chat to you, and hopefully we'll get to chat again soon.
Hopefully. Take care.
No worries. Right, guys. It's been a pleasure. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Been absolutely amazing, as always, for the Fans Forum. We will be back next week to hopefully talk about a few signings and 3 points. We need to hope and pray that is the case. But for everybody, you guys take care. Have a fantastic week, and we will speak to you soon.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's